What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review SmackDown from December 17th, 2021, coming to us from, you guessed it, Chicago, Illinois, CM Punk Town at the Allstate Arena. WWE really needs to go to the United Center instead of the Allstate Arena, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, SmackDown is in Chicago for this particular show. Yes, I'm recording this review on a Monday, a couple hours before Monday Night Raw. Point being, the last Friday, I didn't watch both Rampage and SmackDown. I literally watched them right before I went on with these reviews. The point being, the reason why is because I went to watch Spider-Man No Way Home this Friday, or last Friday, I should say, which I saw it twice. I'm going to say this right now. Spider-Man No Way Home is the greatest movie of all time, period. I don't care what anybody says. That movie is amazing. And if you haven't checked out Spider-Man No Way Home, check out that movie. You'll absolutely love it. But we'll talk about SmackDown. Yes, I did watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's why I didn't watch the shows, but I got to them, and I watched the shows. Overall thoughts on SmackDown. SmackDown, to me, wasn't that good of a show, in my opinion. We had a match between the Usos versus the New Day, which made no sense whatsoever, because of the fact that they're going to be wrestling at Day 1, January 1st, for the SmackDown Tag Titles. I thought that made no sense. Why did you book a match for a pay-per-view, but then you're giving the match away for free on television? I mean, I know it's on Peacock and it's like $10 a month, it doesn't matter, but like and I've stated this on my previous SmackDown and Raw reviews, and WWE has a tendency when it comes to these rematches all the time, or giving away pay-per-view matches, before the pay-per-view. And AEW did this with Omega and Christian, but I felt like the story was there. But when it comes to the WWE, they just do it for the sake of doing it. And I always said this: if the WWE Network didn't exist and we had to pay $40 for a pay-per-view, wouldn't you be ripped off if we got the match for free and then we paid an extra $40 to see it again? I mean, that's just my issue, but I mean, that's just my opinion. Of course, we saw the firing of Paul Heyman, which I thought was a fantastic segment, in my opinion. I'm going to explain in this review where I think it's probably going to lead to. Do I think, Paul Heyman will continue being in the Bloodline after what happened tonight? Maybe. I'm just guessing. It's probably going to be a swerve, but who knows? Because in my opinion, Roman Reigns is the heel. He is still a heel. Even though he's getting cheers all the time when you watch SmackDown shows, he's still the heel. And I think there's going to be some sort of thing that happens at Day 1 that we probably don't know about. And I'm actually really excited to see what happens with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns go head-to-head at Day 1. It's going to be a great match. They wrestled a really good match at Crown Jewel, and I think they're going to basically just tear the house down January 1st at Day 1. But honestly, there's many possible scenarios where you can go with this Paul Heyman Roman Reigns thing. Honestly, I do not know what's going to happen. Is Paul Heyman going to return with Brock Lesnar as the advocate? Who knows? But honestly, it raises a lot of questions, and that's what I really liked about it. That ending segment, that last segment on SmackDown was fantastic. That was fantastic, in my opinion. The rest of the stuff on the show, not so much. The first match we saw was Charlotte Flair and Shotzi Blackheart going up against Sasha Banks and Toni Storm. Of course, Toni Storm has been feuding with Charlotte Flair for these past couple weeks, with Charlotte throwing pie at Toni Storm's face and then Toni getting revenge. It's a ridiculous feud. Of course, Shotzi Blackheart is a heel now. She turned heel before Survivor Series, which I thought made no sense because I always viewed Shotzi Shotzi. These people love, honestly, just to shorten a lot of guys' names. I don't know why. Shotzi Blackheart was such a perfect name. I don't know why they had to shorten it to Shotzi, but they turned Shotzi Blackheart heel, which to me makes no sense because of the fact that Shotzi Blackheart, I always viewed Shotzi as a babyface. She was a really, really good babyface. I do not know why she turned heel. To me, she is much better off as a babyface, but in WWE logic, no, she's better off as a heel. So we got Charlotte and Shotzi Blackheart versus, and I will call her Shotzi Blackheart because that's what she is, Charlotte and Shotzi Blackheart versus Sasha Banks and Toni Storm. This wasn't a bad match at all. It wasn't a bad match at all. Of course, Charlotte Flair is the SmackDown Women's Champion. I believe she faces Toni Storm on SmackDown next week. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe the show's already taped. I think she beat Toni Storm already. I don't know if she's defending the title or not next week. I have to check, but maybe I didn't take notes on that, but whatever. So we got the tag match opening up the show, which usually on SmackDown, I usually expect Roman Reigns to open up the show, but as you guys know, Roman Reigns wasn't here last week, which kind of killed the show. When Roman Reigns is on the show, you honestly expect, the show to be good, but like without Roman Reigns, especially last week, it wasn't good. That segment with Sami Zayn and Brock Lesnar was hilarious, I will say that. But yeah, back to the tag match. Again, this was not a bad match whatsoever. Sasha Banks looked great. The encounterment with Charlotte and Sasha Banks was awesome during the match. Of course, they go way back, back in 2016 with their feud. They had a phenomenal feud. I remember that first draw after the 2016 draft where Sasha Banks won the Raw Women's Championship, or the WWE Women's Championship, because that was before they brought in the SmackDown Women's title. At the time, they only had one Women's Champion, but she won the Women's title. It was a fantastic match. Of course, they wrestled at Hell in a Cell. They had an enormous amount of matches back in 2016, but they had really good chemistry in this match. I thought, again, it was not a bad match. Toni and Shotzi start, both lock up. We get a side headlock by Toni Storm. Then we get a side headlock takeover by Toni. Both lock up again. Shotzi is in control. We get a kick by Toni, and then she proceeds to hit a big boot. Then Sasha tags in. We get a double team attempt, but Shotzi tags in Charlotte. Both lock up. We get a roll up by Sasha. We get a near fall. Toni Storm tags in, proceeds to work on Charlotte. Then Charlotte with a right forearm. Then she also takes out Sasha. Toni then takes Charlotte to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall when Shotzi interferes, or makes the save, I should say. Once we're back from commercial break, we get a double suplex on Shotzi by Toni and Sasha. We get a cover and a near fall. Sasha tags in. Then we get a double team attempt by both Banks and Storm. We get a cover by Banks and a near fall. Sasha continues to work on Shotzi. Toni tags in. We get a couple of right forearms by Toni Storm on Shotzi Blackheart. Then Sasha tags in. We get a kick by Sasha. Then she also takes out Charlotte. Then Shotzi attacks Sasha. Charlotte tags in. Then she chops Sasha and then takes her to the outside. Drives her to the barricade. Then we get a cover in the ring by Charlotte, but we get a near fall. Then after that, Charlotte is in control. We get a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Charlotte. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Shotzi tags in, misses a knee. Toni tags in, then takes down Shotzi. Then we get switching waist locks after that. Charlotte tags in, throws Toni to the outside. We go to commercial break. Once we're back from break, Banks tags in. She sends Charlotte across. Charlotte then misses a big boot. Banks tries to go for the backstabber, but Charlotte counters. But then Sasha reverses it into a crossbody, which was an awesome spot during the match, in my opinion. Everybody went apeshit for that in Chicago. Then we get a double knee attempt. No, we get double knees twice in the corner on Charlotte by Sasha. We get a cover and a near fall. Both exchange forearms after that. Charlotte picks up Sasha but reverses it into a roll-up. Then we get a near fall. Sasha reverses it and hits a running bulldog. Then she goes to the top but misses. Toni at this point is the legal woman in the ring. We get a backstabber on Shotzi Blackheart. Then Charlotte takes out Sasha to the outside, but Toni out of nowhere from the top hits a crossbody. Then we get a cover and a close-ass near fall by Toni Storm, almost pinning the champion, basically foreshadowing what actually happens in the match. Charlotte then takes Toni to the corner. We get a stomp by Charlotte. Then she goes to the top, misses a moonsault, and then hits a standing moonsault. So she basically pulls an Andrade, but Toni gets the knees up. Then we get a roll through by Toni. 1, 2, 3. Toni actually pins the SmackDown Women's Champion on this show. Look, I do not like when champions lose on the show, because then they basically make them less relevant, in my opinion, and it makes the championship less important. I mean, I am not a big fan of Charlotte, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Charlotte Flair, so I didn't mind, but I totally understand, you just pinned your champion, and you're probably going to have a one-on-one match the next week and do 50-50 booking. I mean, WWE is known to do 50-50 booking all the time with their matches, and not only that, this feud is pointless. The feud with Shotzi Blackheart and Sasha Banks is pointless, and the feud with Charlotte and Toni Storm, to me, in my opinion, is really pointless. That's just my thing. I'm just not interested in this feud. But I will say the match was really good, and it was a really good opening match for SmackDown on this show. The whole locker room after that cheer on King Woods, of course. King Woods, Xavier Woods, won the King of the Ring tournament. So what he wins is a crown and a cape. WWE is known to do that and not realize that the King of the Ring should be more important than just winning a cape and a crown and renaming your name to King, whatever your name is. But, King Woods is really good. And I do believe he'll get his moment in the future, of course. Kofi Kingston got his moment at WrestleMania 35, beating Daniel Bryan. And Big E beat Bobby Lashley for the WWE title, cashing in his Money in the Bank. I 100% want Xavier Woods to definitely get his moment. Probably on the WWE champion because Roman Reigns is untouchable. But honestly, this whole King Woods gimmick, it's good. But at the same time, I feel like it could be more because of the fact that the King of the Ring should not just be a cape and a crown and just changing your name to King whatever. You should, when you win the King of the Ring tournament, what they should do is you win a title shot for a future pay-per-view match. Like you win a title shot. That's what they should do, but they don't do that because they're completely lazy. Not only that, the King of the Ring tournament is not even an annual tournament anymore. It used to be an annual tournament, but it's not anymore. It's just a one-off thing just to boost ratings. And we've seen that WWE really does not care about tournaments. If you watch AEW, they are doing their TBS Championship tournament really well. The Queen's Crown tournament was absolutely pointless. All of the matches in the Queen's Crown tournament were like almost all 2-minute matches. On the TBS Championship tournament, those matches were at least 10 to 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? AEW puts more emphasis when it comes to the tournaments than WWE. WWE does not like tournaments whatsoever. So then in this segment, the Usos come in, they run down verbally Xavier Woods, and then says that they will beat them again tonight, and of course stand tall as the tag team champions, and then they will beat them again at day one. So goes to show you that they are going to be wrestling. They are going to be wrestling at day one, but they're going to be wrestling tonight against the New Day, which makes no sense. I don't know why they did that. If there's any story behind it, I get behind it. Just for example, and I've stated this before, when WWE did something similar to a feud that I completely forgot about, but I can tell they did something similar to it because they do this all the time with all their feuds, especially building up to a pay-per-view. When it comes to a tag team match or hell, even a singles match, I'm going to make the comparison again with Omega and Christian. The reason why I supported Christian and Omega happening at the first Rampage when they were going to be wrestling at All Out was because of the fact that the Impact Championship was on the line. There was a reason behind why they did what they did in the first Rampage and have Christian go beat Omega for the Impact World Championship. I felt like they were telling the story of not only Christian Cage having a history on Impact, but also telling the story that the AEW World Championship is the most important title to Kenny. That's like the top prize that Kenny had. In this case, what is the point of the Usos and the New Day wrestling on SmackDown on this show and then wrestling again for the tag team titles at day one? You see the point that I'm trying to get across here? It makes absolutely no sense. Why are they wrestling on television if you already booked the match for the pay-per-view? It just makes no sense at all. It's the WWE does this type of booking all the time. If AEW did something like this with no story or backstory whatsoever behind it, then I'd be like, yeah, this shouldn't even happen. But with AEW's case, I totally understood why they did it. But in this case, WWE, there's no story behind it, in my opinion. I know they had a feud back in 2017 and had awesome-ass matches, but be honest with yourself. Be honest. The match that happened tonight was a good match, but it just made no sense booking-wise. Why are you booking this match on television? That's just my problem. But yeah, they will be facing the New Day later on in the show. So we get the Viking Raiders versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Yes, Jinder Mahal and Shanky. And what happened to Veer? Veer, of course, he got drafted to Raw, and for the past 3 or 2 months, I don't remember, he's on his way to Raw. He's on his way to Raw, guys, and I'm still waiting on him. I've tweeted this so many times while I was away not uploading videos. I was still watching the shows, and while I was tweeting during Raw every single week, and the video package of Veer coming to Raw always popped up, I was always like, again, Veer is basically Emelina, if you guys understand what I'm talking about. Where is Veer, guys? I'll explain later on about that in my future Raw reviews. But we get the Viking Raiders versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Really short match. Honestly, I didn't care about the match at all. What was the point of this match? Really, to me, nothing. I definitely see singles matches happening in the next couple of weeks. Of course, we would get, Eric versus Jinder Mahal or Eric versus Shanky and vice versa. All those types. That's WWE booking philosophy, everybody. That's WWE booking philosophy. It's good shit in Vince McMahon's eyes. So the match starts. Eric tags in and works on Jinder. Shanky tags in. We get a boot by Shanky. Then after that, we get a side slam by Shanky. We get a cover and a near fall. Eric then gets taken to the corner. Then Shanky's in control. We get a chop to the chest by Shanky on Eric. We get a cover and a near fall. We get an elbow by Shanky. And then Eric tags in. Or Jinder tags in, my bad. Works on Eric. We get a clothesline by Jinder. We get a right hand by Jinder. Then Ivar tags in. We get a shoulder tackle by Ivar. We get a side slam by Ivar. We get a crossbody on Jinder. Then Jinder attacks Ivar from behind. We get a lariat by Ivar. Eric tags in. Then the Raiders double team. Then after that, we get a cover and a near fall. Jinder hits a drawbreaker, tags in Shanky. Eric tags Ivar. We get a double team attempt on Shanky. Then Jinder gets slammed to the mat by Eric. We get a splash by Ivar on Shanky. We get a cover, and the Viking Raiders win the match. Honestly, I did not care about this match whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw singles matches with all these wrestlers that were involved in this match in the next couple weeks on SmackDown. Because again, that is WWE booking philosophy. Paul Heyman. Of course, Paul Heyman, the one and only special counsel, Paul Heyman. Backstage, waiting for Roman Reigns. A car pulls in, opens the door, and who is it? It's Brock Lesnar. Heyman was expecting someone else. Then Lesnar instantly assumes it's Roman Reigns and says, "Good luck with that," and pats Heyman on the back. Yeah, this night ain't looking good for Paul Heyman. Just saying right now. All right, the segment after that is arguably, and I will say this, and I mean this with the bottom of my heart, it's one of the worst segments I've seen in my entire life. And this happened in Chicago, I might add. This segment was so bad that the crowd in the Allstate Arena in Chicago chanted CM Punk, because Chicago is nothing without those CM Punk chants. And all power to you, and I'm happy about that, man. Chant those CM Punk chants whenever WWE goes to Chicago, because these segments like this are garbage. It was so bad to the point where the commentators, you knew from what the commentators even said, this shit is garbage. So, what segment was it, I might add? It was Happy Talk with Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss. Corbin deadass says, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I'm deadass. He actually said that. He legit said that twice. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. He actually said that. He thought that was funny. This whole segment was garbage, by the way. They said that they have a new addition to the set of Happy Talk, and it's the table with the sword of Drew McIntyre. Of course, last week, Drew McIntyre went to Adam Pearce's office and stabbed his sword through Adam Pearce's table. Madcap Moss is annoying as hell. His jokes are absolutely horrible. WWE humor is garbage. I do not laugh a single... The only thing that's really funny to me is Riddle when he speaks. That's the only thing that's funny to me. This, Madcap Moss, his jokes are garbage. AEW does some stupid things. Trust me, they really do some stupid things. And, if they did something stupid, I'd probably be like, yo, that was garbage. And trust me, they did a lot of shit. I remember that MMA cage fight on Dynamite between Wardlow and I forgot who else. Wardlow was in that MMA cage fight. It was horrible. I did not like that cage fight. And of course, Dinner Debonair, it was fun and it was humor. It was funny, but it would, to me, it felt like something coming out of WWE. But the Dinner Debonair, when AEW does humor, and I bring back AEW into the discussion because I love comparing the two. When AEW does humor, it's actually funny. When WWE does humor, either A, it's forced, or B, it's just not funny. Literally, when they try to do something cool, it just comes off as forced and not genuine. When AEW does something, that's cool, it, legit comes off as genuine. And I say the same thing when WWE acknowledges something of the past. When WWE acknowledges something of the past, especially in 2021, it is pure cringe. But when AEW acknowledges something of the past, to me, it feels genuine. That's just my opinion. But this whole segment with Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin or Baron Corbin, whatever the hell you want to call him, is garbage. He says he couldn't be happier with adding the sword on the set. Then Moss has the joke. What do you call Drew McIntyre when he leaves his sword on a desk? The Glasgow Dents. I don't even know what the hell he said. I don't even know what the hell he said in this segment. I'm being straight up. I don't even know what the fuck he said in this segment. Like, what is he talking about? And then, where can you find a discount kilt? I think that's what he said. Honestly, I do not understand what the hell Moss is saying. And then we get those CM Punk chants in Chicago, which, thank God, you got. The only thing that was interesting in this segment was those CM Punk chants. He doesn't know. Ask Braven Basement Briss. I don't even know what is Madcap Moss talking about. And then he does another joke. Why did Drew McIntyre's girl decide to wear a suit? She thought one person in the relationship could decided to wear pants. Like, what kind of jokes are these? Like, this whole segment is one of the worst segments I've ever heard in my life. Corbin says he was going to leave it in the desk, but wants to give it to Moss. Moss can't get the sword out. Corbin tries to get it out. The commentators at this point are like, what the fuck am I watching? Drew McIntyre comes out and asks them if they have performance issues. McIntyre then attacks both Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. McIntyre takes out the sword, and then Moss saves Corbin from basically getting chopped in half, as Pat McAfee said on commentary. This segment was garbage. I hated this segment. I don't know why this segment even exists. You know, this is worse than the This Is Your Life segment. You remember that This Is Your Life segment with Bayley, and I believe it was Alexa Bliss that did it? It was a couple years ago. I think it was back in 2017 on Raw. Yeah, that was really bad. Again, WWE sucks ass with humor. They legit suck ass when it comes to humor. All right. We got Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville backstage. Sami Zayn comes in. He doesn't have a neck brace like last week, and says he cares about the spirit of giving. And then he says he earned that universal opportunity before Lesnar basically screwed him and Roman Reigns basically beat him in a couple seconds. Then Pierce proposes a 12 Days of Christmas gauntlet match. Whoever wins that gauntlet match gets an opportunity for the Intercontinental title. And basically, Sami Zayn accepts, and that was the segment. Great. All right, we get Ridge Holland versus Cesaro, another match that really didn't take that long. Honestly, the match starts. Holland takes out Cesaro before the match starts. We go to commercial break. Once we're back from break, the bell rings. Holland then instantly works on Cesaro. We get a backbreaker by Holland. He continues to work on Cesaro. Holland then applies an abdominal stretch on Cesaro. We get a right hand to the midsection by Ridge Holland. Then we get a backdrop by Cesaro. We get a couple of rights and lefts by Cesaro. He takes him to the outside. We get an uppercut on the outside by Cesaro. Holland fights back. We get a power slam by Holland and wins the match. Holland then attacks Cesaro after the match, and that's that. Honestly, again, this match was really short. I don't know what was the point of this match. I mean, I know that Sheamus and Cesaro are feuding, but, like, be honest. I mean, like, does you, the viewer, care about this feud? Honestly, I know I don't. I do not care about this feud at all. That's just my opinion. All right. Drew McIntyre looking for Madcap is basically backstage looking for Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin. Our next segment is Naomi. Of course, Naomi has been feuding with Sonya Deville for the past couple of months because she wanted a match. Now, I will say, the feud with Sonya Deville is not bad at all, but I do believe, and I'll explain this later on, you know, WWE should do bigger things when it comes to Naomi, and I'll explain it after I explain this segment. Basically, Naomi says that she has a Christmas list, and there's only one thing: to face Sonya Deville one-on-one. Says Santa's coming early. Says, you know, someone is back there listening, and she says that she has done everything except facing her one-on-one. Then she calls out Sonya Deville. Sonya comes out. Then Sonya basically states when she has a suit on, she can't fight her. Instead, she has another opponent. That opponent is Shayna Baszler. She goes in the ring. Shayna attacks her from behind. targets the knee of Naomi. The ref rings the bell. Shayna applies the knee submission. Then we get a roll up by Naomi, and then Naomi instantly wins the match. Okay, so I've stated before in many of my SmackDown reviews, or many of my later SmackDown reviews before I took a small break, Naomi should do a lot better. They should book Naomi in a better scenario, in my opinion. This whole thing with Sonya Deville is not bad. It's just, I believe, and I mean this, Naomi needs to join the Bloodline. That's just my view. Like, Naomi has to join the Bloodline, because she's related to the Usos. She's married to, I believe it's Jimmy Uso. Like, it'd make the perfect sense, in my opinion, for Naomi to join the Bloodline and be the top heel in the women's division on SmackDown. I mean, it can become some compelling television, but WWE's not going to do that. I don't know why. Literally, you have the story right in front of you, but you don't utilize it. It's typical WWE. They don't like utilizing anything that they have they don't like utilizing anything that they don't even realize that they have. That's the best way I could put it. But Naomi has to join the Bloodline, in my opinion, because then it can elevate her even more. Because this whole glow gimmick, as much as I love the glow gimmick, we've seen this gimmick since 2016. I think it's time for Naomi to reinvent herself and become more of a badass, turn her heel, join the Bloodline, and just go on from there. I think if she joins the Bloodline, Naomi can have bigger things coming her way, in my opinion. She can be the women's champion, and then all that said and done, she could dominate the women's division. Literally, you can do a lot of stuff with this, but who am I to say these things? Because WWE doesn't really care what I think. He don't care what you think. I mean, WWE don't care what you think. WWE don't care what I think. Because at the end of the day, what Vince wants, Vince gets. All right. Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin are basically backstage hiding somewhere. Yes, they are hiding. They are hiding. And this small logic like this really confuses me. All right. So they're hiding somewhere, and then all of a sudden they get interviewed. Like, you're hiding somewhere, and then all of a sudden you get interviewed. That is one of the weirdest scenarios ever. The lights turn on, and then Corbin basically talks about how he's always happy, he's rich, he looks down on common people and smiles, and says that they will be laughing till New Year's Day when Drew loses to Madcap Moss, and then Madcap Moss just looks at him like, what the fuck? Okay. All right. Do I care? And that's a common question in this review. Do I care? The answer is no. I don't care. This whole feud with Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, and Drew McIntyre is garbage. It's garbage. I don't like it. It's horrible. The segment was horrible. This feud is horrible. Drew McIntyre should be better off doing better things, in my opinion, and he will. I definitely do see him facing Roman Reigns at the Rumble, which I think will be a really good match because they faced off at Survivor Series last year, and they had a tremendous match. They had a really, really good match at Survivor Series last year, and I do believe they'll tear the house down if they ever face at the Royal Rumble, which I do believe they will face at the Royal Rumble. But, again, this feud, honestly, I expect McIntyre to go over. I mean, it'd be really dumb. You'd be a fool to think if Madcap Moss is going to beat Drew McIntyre. Like, Madcap Moss is not going to beat Drew McIntyre, period. After it's all said and done, McIntyre is going to go to Reigns. Do I think he should be the one to take the belt off of Roman Reigns? Absolutely not. That question remains to be seen. All right, we got our last match of the evening before our big segment. King Woods and Kofi Kingston, of course, the New Day, going up against the Usos. I've already explained why booking this match on television when you already have this match booked for day one, it makes absolutely no sense. There's no story behind it, in my opinion. What's the real story behind why this match is going on television? There really isn't no story. I mean, they've been feuding for years. But come on now, really? Wait till the pay-per-view and just have awesome-ass build or something. Don't give away the whole match. I mean, we've seen the match already many times throughout this year and previous years, but like, come on, man, really? You're really giving this match away again? Like, don't do that. That's just my opinion. Like, it makes no sense that you book a match for the pay-per-view and then you're just giving it to the viewer instantly on television. then what is the point of the pay-per-view? Oh, wait, I forgot. It's a non-title match in this scenario. But again, it makes no sense. Hell, the Usos lost this match, which I assume the Usos will retain at day one, and then you'll basically have 50-50 booking. Again, WWE is known to do this type of booking, and they think this is good. This is good philosophy when it comes to their booking, and it's not. You got to have some good build instead of just having a singles match or a tag team match or the same match that's happening on the pay-per-view. I mean, you can't do that. If this was WrestleMania, they wouldn't do this. Actually, I take that back. Nowadays, they would do this. But if this was 10 years ago or maybe 15 years ago, they wouldn't do this. But nonetheless, this match was really good. I'm not going to lie. I liked the match. You know, the Usos and the New Day always have great chemistry in the ring. They had some really good matches in previous years. But again, why is this match happening on television? It makes absolutely no sense. Kingston and Jey Uso lock up. We get a shoulder tackle by Jey. Then Kofi hits the SOS. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a right hand by Jimmy. We get repeated rights by Jey. Then Jimmy tags in. Jimmy works on Kofi. We get a double team attempt by the Usos. We get a super kick by Jey. Jimmy is the legal man. Kofi with the super kick. Then Woods tags in, but the ref doesn't see it. You know, I don't know why they did that, but it is what it is. The Usos then take out Kofi on the outside. Once we're back from break, Kofi with the splash to the back of Jey Uso. The hot tag after that is made. We get a couple clotheslines by Woods, boot by Woods. Then we get a side Russian leg sweep by King Woods. Then he takes Jimmy to the outside. Woods takes out the Usos on the outside. Woods also goes to the top. We get a leg drop on Jimmy off the top. We get a cover and a near fall. We get an enziguri by Jimmy Uso. We get it. Then Kofi Kingston tags in. He goes to the top. Woods is on the outside, and Jey drives him to the barricade. Jimmy counters the SOS. We got a super kick by Jimmy. We got a cover and a near fall. Jey goes to the top, but then Woods takes him out. We got a Trouble in Paradise by Kofi on Jimmy Uso. Cover 1, 2, 3. And the New Day pins the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Again, I do see the Usos winning this match at day one. Again, you're going to have 50-50 booking. Am I a fan of it? No, but WWE is known to do this, so I am honestly not surprised. All right. Paul Heyman is backstage, and the car pulls in, and who is it? It's Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns doesn't come out of the car from the side where Paul Heyman is. He actually comes out from the other side, which was actually really funny. Basically foreshadowing what is to come in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, of course, with Paul Heyman. Heyman gives the microphone to Roman Reigns. Reigns asks Chicago to acknowledge him. I acknowledge you. Says he said this before, and it will say it again. He doesn't like it when his cousins lose, but they are family, and they can get through anything because they are blood. Then he points at Paul Heyman, says he's not his blood, and he should know better than anybody that he doesn't like it when he's disrespected, because when he's disrespected, he disrespects his family. So he's going to ask the question again. Can he trust him? He asks Paul, can I trust you? He took a week off, but he knows everything that happens. Says last week he was acting a little shady to him. He asks him if he knew that Brock was going to return at SummerSlam and then at Madison Square Garden. Did he know that Brock's suspension was going to be lifted? Roman tells the crowd that, yeah, this dude did screw up. This is the most important question. Is he his special counsel or is he his advocate? Heyman wants to get the microphone, but Roman just doesn't give him the microphone, which I actually really like. That was actually hilarious. He tries to get the microphone from Roman, but Roman just doesn't give him the microphone, so Heyman just has to go to a random production guy in the timekeeper's area and to get the microphone, which is hilarious. So after that, Heyman he gets the mic, and then Heyman looks really emotional, of course. Roman says, before he says anything, he wants to acknowledge him with the truth. Why is he protecting Brock Lesnar from him? Heyman responds, says that he's not protecting Brock Lesnar from him. He's protecting him from Brock Lesnar. Roman then hugs Paulie and says that he loves him, wise man. And then he thanks him for his honesty. He thanks him for 40 years of serving his family. And then, shots fired. He says that he is fired. And then hits the Superman punch on Paul Lee, grabs the steel chair, and then he asks for one more chair from one of the Usos. He's about to hit the concerto, but what happens? Brock Lesnar comes out. The Usos try to get Lesnar and runs through them. He hits the F5, but then gets hit with the super kick, but then hits the F5 again. Brock goes in the ring, but Roman hits repeated chair shots on Brock Lesnar, but Brock hits the F5 on Roman Reigns, and then he hits a second F5 on Roman Reigns, and the show ends. Holy shit. What are my thoughts on this segment? I thought this was a fantastic segment, in my opinion. You know, they've been teasing something like this for the past couple months ever since Brock Lesnar came back, and I thought it was a really good, slow build. And the segments with, Paul Heyman have been really good. And these types of segments, especially when it comes to Paul Heyman, I've always enjoyed. They've had these segments when it came to CM Punk and Vince McMahon all those years ago, back in like 2012, 2013, which were really entertaining to watch. I've always dug these segments. Now, where do I think this is going to go? Where do I think this is going to go towards day one? Honestly, I do not know. A lot of people can assume that this could possibly be a swerve, that, Heyman, quote unquote, rejoins with Brock Lesnar, but instead a swerve just happens. And then who knows? I mean, heel tactics, right? But honestly, this whole thing can go many different scenarios. And honestly, if this is the end of Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, holy shit, what a run that was. But I don't think it's going to be the case. And not only that, Roman Reigns is not going to turn babyface regardless of the fact that he's over with the crowd. Like, the crowd actually loves him. I think Roman Reigns still needs to keep his heel persona, in my opinion, because that is just the best thing on television. And I always had that fear, if Roman Reigns ever turned babyface, that the fans will just start to turn on him again, because you know how wrestling fans are. Once they like somebody, and then WWE or AEW pushes somebody, and then for a while that they get shoved down their throats, and then the fans just start to turn on them. We've seen that with Cody Rhodes. Now, granted, Cody Rhodes never won, the AEW World Championship, but he put himself in situations that, he doesn't really need to be in. But I'm still a Cody Rhodes fan. But, I see those boos that Cody Rhodes gets all the time, and I do believe he's going to turn heel. But with Roman Reigns, this guy needs to stay heel. In my opinion, Roman Reigns needs to stay heel. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from December 17th, 2021. Overall thoughts on this show, I thought this was not a really good show. My apologies. Honestly, every time when I go in the end, I haven't done a video in a while. I'm always like, this has been a really good show. Nah, this wasn't really that good of a show. And I almost messed up my words there. But in my opinion, it wasn't that really good of a show. The only good things in the show were the match itself with the Usos and the New Day. Booking wise, I thought it was absolutely terrible, and that ending segment that closed off SmackDown. Everything else, not only that, actually I will say this: I enjoyed the opening tag, the women's tag match with Charlotte and Shotzi going up against Sasha Banks and Toni Storm. That was a really good match as well. Everything else on the show was just useless and terrible. Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin are garbage in my opinion, and yeah. That was my SmackDown review from December 17th, 2021. Please subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for my Rampage review, which I will upload right after my SmackDown review. And this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast. Signing out.